Welcome to my video on how to add a regression line to an Excel chart. For this video, we have a simple data set. There are 5 values in the chart. These values represent the text entry speed in words per minute for a particular type of soft keyboard called Opti. And here we see the progression of entry speed over the 5 trials. You might notice that this doesn't quite look linear. It has a little bit of a curve downward as you move along. So the type of regression line we are going to fit these data to is a power law rather than a linear law. You might have heard of the power law of learning, and let's just see how well these data fit the power law of learning. Okay, to add the regression line, there's a couple of ways of doing it. The simplest way, or the way that I prefer, is to click on the line that currently exists in the chart and then right click. A dialog will pop up and select Add Trend Line. When you do that, another dialog pops up allowing you to format the trend line. And notice that there is a trend line that appears. You can see a bit of a dashed line here. Let's work on that. Okay, by default, the Format Trend Line dialog assumes you are looking for a linear regression line. That may be the case, but actually we are looking for a power law to be fit to these data points. So we click on power. One thing that is common in learning models is to extrapolate forward. We see the results over 5 trials. We might be wondering how the trend would continue, for example, over an additional, say, 10 trials. So we're going to forecast forward by 10 trials. I type 10 in here, and we see that the trend line now extends forward to trial 15. Okay, as well, in the Format Trend Line dialog, down at the bottom, there are options to display an equation and the R² value on the chart. We check those boxes and a label appears superimposed on the trend line showing the prediction equation. This is the power law, and the squared correlation. This is the so-called goodness of fit of the data points to the model. This looks a bit ugly. The grid line is showing through. The text is superimposed on the trend line. Let's work on that. I'm going to click on this label. And when I do, notice that the dialog changes to Format Trend Line Label. I'm going to click on the paint can, and I'm going to establish a solid fill that is white and add around the label a solid line. We'll give it maybe a gray border like this. And here we see the label now appears with a solid background. This prevents the grid lines from showing through. It looks a little bit better, don't you think? Okay, now let's get back to the trend line, the regression line. Let's click on the trend line, select it. The Format Trend Line dialog reappears. I don't really like this dashed line. Let's change that to a solid line. I click on the paint can, and here we see dash type. I'll click over here and make it a solid line. Okay, that's a little bit nicer. Personally, I'd prefer to have a black line, so I'm going to make it black. Okay, and it's a little bit thick. Why don't we click on the width box, maybe reduce the width from 1.5 point to 0.75 points. Yeah, that's a little better. How's that look? Okay, well, that's basically it. Okay, now I have closed the Format Trend Line dialog, and here we see the final result. We see the original line chart with a regression line superimposed. In this case, it's a power law of learning regression line, and it extends forward to trial 15. Also shown are the prediction equation and the squared correlation. Thank you very much.